Welcome back to WagerTalk.com. We've got college football, Ole Miss, LSU. I'm joined in studio with Ralph Michaels, and Tampa Bay hasn't said who's starting yet this week. I guess they're going back to Jameis Winston because we got Ryan Fitzpatrick right here.
Yep, I split duties between the Flyers mascot and Ryan Fitzpatrick, and now that I'm not going to be playing quarterback, I'm here with you guys.
Hey,
My first video with you. Welcome back, Preston. Glad you're back with Wager Talk. Awesome. The Wager Talk crew just keeps getting better.
Better and better, guys. And speaking of getting better and better, how about this LSU football team? I mean, first game of the season, I was, against that, or I was on them in the first game, but the Auburn game, I didn't think they were for real. And they went in there and hung tough with Auburn and stayed in the game and found a way to win it at the end. Ralph, I'm going to start with you on this one. Is LSU for real?
Yeah, I was against LSU, not as a play the first week, but, college football as a whole going great so far this season, 17-8 at Wager Talk. 4 straight winning weeks, including 5-2 this past week. I got a trial sample for you guys. If you want to try 2 weeks of football, normally $99 a week. 2 weeks, $99. Get all my college and all my pro plays. All you have to do is go to my homepage, click the special, no coupon required, at WagerTalk.com. Back to this game. To me, this is a very fake game. You look at LSU. I did a new strength of schedule and a stat update at Wager Talk, and part of that was strength of schedule and yards per game diff and points per game diff. Well, LSU has played the number 22 toughest schedule, a very good schedule, but they're only plus 17.2 yards per game, and they're only plus 0.5 yards per play. Ole Miss got crushed against Alabama, so everyone thinks they're horrible, gave up a ton of yards in their first 3 games. They're allowing over 500 yards per game. But they've played the number 32 schedule. They're plus 17.5 yards per game more than LSU, and they're plus 2.1 yards per play, much more than LSU. So to me, I think this is a great situation for Ole Miss. One negative, you have to remember, Ed Orgeron, fired by Ole Miss, each of the last 2 years, he's covered by 9 and 10 points, taking him to the woodshed.
Preston, when you look at a team like Ole Miss, we know they're not as bad as the Alabama game. I also think they're not as good as the Texas Tech win. They're somewhere in between. Where do you find that happy medium? Because the other games, you got nothing by looking at the Southern Illinois blowout, and you got Kent State is horrible in the MAC. They railroaded them. Where's this team at?
Well, I think if you look at those 2 games and you look at the halftime scores of each of those games, against Southern Illinois, an FCS school, they were losing by 3. They gave up 38 points in the first half. Against Kent State last week, it was 7-7 at halftime. I had Kent State, I think, the second lowest rated team entering the season. I think I've upgraded them some, but they're a bottom 5 team in the country. And Ole Miss was 7-7 at halftime at home after getting embarrassed by Alabama. I think there's more to look into those 2 games than maybe even them potentially being blowouts. Now, that was a weird game, too, because there were 3 lightning delays. They finally started the second half 6 or 7 hours after the game started, and Kent State kind of fell apart. But they still actually scored themselves a couple more times. I don't actually like this Ole Miss team much. I think the fact that they did give up 62 and only scored 7 against Bama is pretty telling, and that they struggled. I think the Texas Tech Week 1 first game of the season, I think, was the outlier game, and I actually think Ole Miss, I'm down on them more than I think more people and Ralph is. I think the number 12 is where my number is. I think it's 11.5 now in the current market. I wouldn't be making a play. I think Burrow's slightly better than other quarterbacks LSU has had in the recent past, at least the last decade, which is nice. It's when you have a defense that good that you can now have a quarterback that isn't making mistakes and can move the ball a little more efficiently. I like LSU if it's 10 or better, but I don't really anticipate it getting down that far. It opened 13.5 though earlier this week, so early money on Ole Miss at least, but I'm probably not going to be getting involved.
Yeah, you look last week, Ralph. LSU played Louisiana Tech in the all-time letdown spot, coming off the Auburn game. I know everybody I know was using that game, like in a Golden Nugget contest. Everybody, because it was the situational play. LSU jumped out to a 21-0 lead, and I said, this ain't good, obviously. And then Louisiana Tech made the run. But what I liked about LSU is, in horse racing, when a horse jumps out to a big lead, and then gets collared. He usually doesn't come back in a stretch. LSU did come back after Louisiana Tech closed the gap and, made a game of it that you're almost putting the upset alert on, that they then pulled away by 17 at the end. That showed me something about the character of this LSU team moving forward.
One thing for people when you're, when you're comparing stats is, we look at plays per game a lot on offense and how productive a team is and how many plays they're running. Well, I can tell you this, that Ole Miss, in their first game against Texas Tech is the fastest paced team in football. They ran 95 plays. Southern Illinois is the fastest placed team in the FCS. They ran 93 plays. Kent State's gone to a new fast up-tempo offense this year. Kent State ran 84 plays. That 501 yards per game they allowed, if you translate it to where LSU is going to run 56 to 60 plays this year, that's down to 381 yards of defense when you're comparing yards per play against opponents. So I think that's something you have to take into consideration, is that defense was just mauled on the field, 180 plays the first 2 weeks. That takes a lot out of you. I think there's some progression this week with the Ole Miss side.
All right, so you're leaning Ole Miss.
I am leaning Ole Miss.
And you're leaning LSU, but you don't like the number.
Yeah. If it got to 10 or better, I'd be betting the Tigers.
All right, guys. Hey, Tuesday is always $2 Tuesday. What's that mean? Well, you can get the hottest handicapper at WagerTalk's best bet for just $2. Now, we're filming on Wednesday, so Tuesday's gone. Well, you know what? Since I'm hosting, I'm changing the rules. We're going to extend the $2 Tuesday capper this week to Friday. It's me. You can get my best bet for Saturday. If you want to wait and get it on Saturday, it's $25. But if you do it before Friday, you can get it for $2. It's my Wise Guy best bet. And when I call it the Wise Guy best bet, no, it's not insider Wise Guy information. This is the best bet that I had on Monday when I submitted my plays to the Wise Guy contest that I'm in. And we've done very well over the years with those plays. And it's a play I've already bet. You can get it for just $2 at WagerTalk.com. We'll be back with more here at WagerTalk.